Good evening. Good evening.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey. You can't see me. There. I see you, ladies.
Hey.
Hi.
There you go.
I see your lovely faces. How y'all doing tonight?
Good and
Right.
Y'all
Hey.
good? Oh, I am good. I see the ladies are on here. Ladies, if you are on, and I know you are, make sure you come on in, share the live, start a watch party. Let us know you're watching and, give us a heart. Tell your girls about it because as you know, every Friday night it's going down or it's going up with the winning women. We like to have fun. We like to talk about, relative issues. And we have some great issues on tonight that we're going to be chatting about. So come on in, join us. You see all of them smiling because they, it's like, yeah, we got to really do this. Yeah, we got to do this. So come on in, join us. We will get started in, I'll say 1.5 minutes. Okay. So I see you coming on in, share it. Make sure you let your girls know, hey, winning women, we're on here. We're on live. Yes, and we're about to be popping. On and popping. Come on.
On and popping? That's where we at.
She said on and popping.
Is that old or is that new?
No, if this is any indication of how tonight is gonna be, baby.
I got some revelation that I want to share with the ladies.
Revelation.
Come on, revelation. I got some revelation. So,
but the Alvin Ailey dancers should come out. Come on, revelation.
Yeah, I got some. I mean, they go like this revelation that I got. Yeah, it was straight from the Lord.
That's the best revelation. That's the only one I want.
Yeah. But listen, ladies.
Hey, Jess.
Hey.
Jess.
We matching, Kay.
Oh, hey. I got on this one. And y'all see?
Oh.
That's nice. The white one.
I can't fit her no more.
Yeah.
She don't fit no more.
She don't fit no more.
Listen.
I guess me and Brandy just blacked out today, girl.
Out of order. Out of order.
Right. I'm not gonna say nothing about what I got on because I might be out of order too.
Listen, I just walked
you got on black too, look like.
I do have on black.
We coordinated.
We coordinated.
If I had a belt on, I'd be coordinated. The muscles and all that stuff. Yes. But listen, I am ready to jump into our topics for tonight. But before we do that, we always have some preliminary. So ladies, what do we do when we first start off?
Selfies.
Listen, I take selfies every week and I forget to post them.
Do you? Girl,
I do.
Tonight. I never post mine.
I know I got like 100 selfies. I'm like, oh, I never posted.
Now I don't know if I got 100, but
I mean, I'm just exaggerating.
I got some, and they real cute too.
I done took a picture of the screen and me. I done had it all set out and ain't sent it nowhere.
You gotta save it for a throwback.
Yeah, how many of you on this live have done the same thing? You've taken these selfies because we haven't seen a lot of these selfies. And I know you're on here. So make sure you're taking these selfies and posting them after the live so we'll know that you were on here.
Pastor London also asks where they're from.
Yes, I see our sister from Hawaii is back. She says aloha. She's back on the line. So aloha. Yeah.
Aloha.
I need to get to Hawaii and do my little
Need me one of them Moana skirts.
Ooh. One of them leads or lays.
Oh, the lays.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I see on here we have a guy. I don't know if it's just one or more, but I want to just let you know this is girl chat. Now, if it's your wife on here, that's fine. But if this is a guy on here, we highly recommend that you kind of log off, because things that we'll be talking about tonight is, really girl stuff. And every time we've always talked about girl stuff, things that girls need to know, but sometimes we don't talk about. Maybe we don't have someone in here that in our lives that know about these things. So we're bringing some things to you that I know for me, I just learned and had some experience and some revelation with that we'll share about a little bit later. But just make sure that you are sharing your pictures and, just letting us know you're on here, letting us know where you're from. If you're from out of town, again, we had some people, I think, from Texas last week. We had some out of town, people out here, and we was like, hey, come on in, join us. There's no distance in the spirit, no distance virtually. So, okay. So our first topic, we're going to dive right in. I know we're having some kind of technical issues, so we're going to dive right in with homeschooling. So we do have some experts on our team that have homeschooled successfully, and we wanted them to share as well. But then we had kind of an idea, like, somebody else came to me and was like, hey, I want to bring up some issues about maybe behavior with children, and how while you're homeschooling, you can teach them how to behave so they can learn. So we wanted to bring her in now. So y'all know, if the child acting up and doing all this stuff, they can't learn, So y'all don't leave me out here hanging. Yeah. So, media, if you can bring in Dominique Taylor, we're going to have her come in and just join in on our live. So we have on our team, we have Miss Kay Monell. She's homeschooled. Tell us a little bit about your homeschooling experience, Kay.
I started homeschooling. I have a set of boy-girl twins, and they are now 17. And I homeschooled them starting at kindergarten. I did an off and on thing, but then I really started from 4th grade to 6th grade was a big chunk. And then 7th and 8th grade, they went into an academic center, CPS academic center. So I started like straight out the gate. And that was 12 years ago? Mm-hmm. So yeah, way before all of it.
So basically,
the quarantine.
Yeah, you have some knowledge on homeschooling, basically.
Just un poquito.
And a little Spanish too.
More than poquito.
Right, she got some Spanish too in there. Come on. And we have Serena Oware. Tell us a little bit about your homeschooling experience.
Well, my children are younger. Right now they are I have an 18-month-old and a 6 and 7-year-old, but I homeschooled my 6 and 7-year-old for pre-K, really. So it was more so like before they kind of had like the formal school experience. And even when they started school, when they were able to go, it was like half a day the first year. So even then I was still kind of implementing a couple of different things for them, but it was fun. I think it's interesting to see their different learning patterns that they have. Like my son is more so like, he's a numbers guy. And my daughter is more so like linguistic. So like English, reading, all of that, like she excelled in more. She just had a passion more so for when she was younger, and she still does. And Aiden is like, I can count to 300 at the age of 4 or 3. And that was just his thing. So it was kind of cool, making adjustments based off of how they, what they love to do.
That's good. And so we want to bring Sharetta on too, because I know she's doing some homeschooling. Now, I don't, you can tell us if you did this before the quarantine or if this quarantine has kind of forced you into
So I am an early childhood educator. I'm a director of a childcare center. So I've been in early childhood for about 20 years. But this homeschooling deal was not my niche.
That wasn't your portion order?
It wasn't my portion, right? Like there are people who are certified to do it. Me, it wasn't me. But since this whole quarantine is, it's new to me, trying to get in the rhythm of it and not making it feel like what I'm used to. I'm used to being in a formal classroom setting and just how children learn and all of that stuff. I'm used to that. So it's been a change of pace for me.
Okay. So we
And
we say what?
and he's 2, so you already know.
Yeah.
That looks different from the gate anyway.
Yeah. So ladies, if you're on this call, well, I keep saying if you're on this call, you're on this call. But our team, we have a plethora of ladies who have dealt with or are dealing with homeschooling. But we have a special edition today that's going to kind of take us a little bit further. So Dominique, I want you to kind of introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your business, and we can go for it.
When I first jumped on the call, I wanted to say, hi, everybody, call you out by name because I miss everybody. I miss seeing you.
Yeah.
Miss you too.
Yes,
I
definitely.
know. And I had to take my selfie real quick. Okay, so I can go right to business. So just like Pastor London said, I'm a board certified behavior analyst. So what we do is we analyze behaviors for a living, and we try to see how it's linked to its environmental setting. So if something is happening with your child and you may see them tantruming or being physically aggressive or non-compliant or something like that, we go into the environment and take a look and see, well, what's going on in the environment that may be triggering these behaviors, and how can we manipulate the environment or the people in the environment so it can have a better effect on the behavior.
How old is that? Is that adulthood? Is that just what's that age range?
Hey, I use it with my 2-year-old, with my 10-year-old, and with my husband. So it works for everybody.
You said with a husband. Okay.
It works. I'll be like, oh, baby, I love it when you take out the trash. You look so nice when you take out that trash. Your arms look buff. That's positive reinforcement. So then the next time he's like, oh, you like this?
That's right.
Yes, I love it.
Now, I thought we would be talking about homeschooling and then behaviors, but this piece includes everybody now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody. So if you're on this call and you're saying, hey, I don't have any children, so homeschooling, don't tune us out.
Yeah.
There's something for everybody on this call. I love the positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
You know, I do that sometimes to the boys. I'm like, oh, Jaden, I love how you sweep this floor. You sweep the best. Even though he be leaving crumbs everywhere. It's like, I just want
Encouragement.
encouragement. Just keep doing it. You're going to soon be the best you can be, but that's something. So what are some techniques, Dominique, that we can use for all across the board? Because I know for me, I have a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old that I've been thrust into homeschooling, and actually they'll be out of school next week. So praise the Lord. I know Chicago public schools are still in, so this topic is still relevant, and not only just for homeschooling, because if we're still in this quarantine, we'll still have to be in the house. So we're still dealing with our children at some point, whether sometimes you're on vacation during the summer, that stuff might not happen. So kind of give us some techniques on how to deal with our children, whatever age it is. And I see your husband, mine do the same thing. And they know we on live and they just come show themselves. It's like, really, dude?
Can I get a minute?
So just give us some techniques, not just for the children, but even some techniques for the man.
So you brought up a really good point. So that's a really great example of how we have to set up boundaries, and we have to set expectation for our kids and our husbands and say, hey, when this door is closed, or when the sign is on, I even made a sign for my door, and that means mommy is not available. I'm available 20 other hours of the day, but these are the times that I need privacy for myself. And once you set those rules, it's okay to just ignore them after that. Because I know a lot of time, so we talk a lot about positive reinforcement or giving attention to behaviors, right? So whether you're saying, hey, Johnny, I like what you're doing, or whether you're saying, get out of my room, you're too loud, you're still giving them attention. So either way, you want to set up those expectations or contingency, because even if he comes in and I say, get out, I'm still giving him attention. So we have power in ignoring our kids or planning to ignore them. So after you set those contingencies and you say, hey, this is when I'm available, this is when I'm not, this is what I want you to do, then you're left to start playing ignoring. So unless they're doing something that you want them to do, unless they're behaving appropriately, unless they're doing sweeping the floor or whatever it is, that's when we give them the attention. We give a lot of attention to our kids and our husbands for things that we don't want to see more of. We do a lot of nagging, take your shoes off, wash your hands, get off the couch, don't do this, do your homework. We get a lot of attention and a lot of verbal reprimands to them. And we really can withhold all of that attention for when they are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we give them a lot of attention when they are doing what they're supposed to be doing, or when they are doing work. And when you first started this segment, I thought it was so good because you said we're talking about the things that people don't teach us as women. So I don't know about you, but nobody told me, although my mother was great, she was a wonderful mother, nobody told me, say, okay, make sure you find time to listen to your kids. Make sure you find time to use positive reinforcement and tell them how smart they are and tell them this and tell. Oh my God. What I was taught is a child should stay in a child's place. A child should be seen and not heard.
Not heard, baby.
Yeah. So we're not really directly taught how to uplift our children using positive reinforcement. We're taught to reprimand them when they get in trouble. But a lot of these tools that we can use, they are proactive, right? So I don't like to wait until my kids do something that I don't want them to do, then I react. Because then I'm drained, they're drained. I'm like, this is not even working. So what I do is I'm proactive. I know I can predict their behavior. I know exactly what they're going to do every day, when they're going to interrupt me, when they're going to cry because they're done with e-learning, when they're going to ask for the iPad. So then you set the contingencies up in the beginning and say, all right. And so what I try not to do, I don't start with what I don't want you to do. I flip it and I give them instructions, clear instructions on what I do want you to do. Okay, so at this time, we're going to do e-learning. And then we're going to do this, and then we're going to take a break, and you can come in my room or my office, and you can hang, and then we're going to do that. And then if you're not following those steps, you don't get mommy's attention.
Oh, child, come on.
It's harsh, but that's how I keep my peace, and that's how I'm not running around this house yelling at everybody.
Yep. Hey, you sit down.
Yeah, we have a lot of that.
You said something when I do this, I have my notes, my little notes or whatever. But you said there is power in ignoring our children. And before I even heard you say that, I knew the power in it, because I can ignore with the best of them.
Yeah, that's a skill.
It is a skill.
Some people can't do that. Like Pastor, he hears everything, and somebody can be calling. They can be calling a name, mommy, 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 and I'm just sitting there like I ain't heard nothing. But sometimes I don't hear it. I just tune them out. And he was like, "Don't you hear them talking?" I'm like, "Yeah, but they don't want nothing." So but I think, I have been ignoring even when they were babies. I think they would cry, during the night. And I was trying to train them, because the first one, Justin, we had him in the bed with us, which was a no-no. It should be a no-no, because he didn't want to leave after that. Yeah. So with the second one, I'm like, no, Jaden, you got to get the short end of the stick. You're going in your room. But I ended up going back and forth, trying to get him, because he was crying. So sometimes during the night, I would act like I didn't hear him. So I would just lay, and I heard him, because mothers, you have that instinct, but I would just lay like I didn't hear him. And so then Pastor was like, "You don't hear him?" I said, "You don't hear him?" Like, it's not just my job to go get him and feed him a bottle, but I was, that was a part now I see of training them, like almost like, just because you're crying don't mean you're gonna get all the attention all the time. I didn't do it all the time. Maybe I was a bad mother for doing that, but I just learned how to ignore. I just thought that was powerful.
And another thing, as Black mothers, it's like, we can't ignore them because we can't let them talk back, or we can't let them get the last word, or we can't let them, but if you're going to do what I asked you to do anyway, why am I going back and forth with you just because you're like, Mom, and now we're going back and forth, and now I'm prolonging you getting the dishes done. If I say do the dishes and you're complaining all the way to the kitchen, I don't care. You're doing the dishes. So in order to preserve my peace, just
That's
do
true.
it. Act like I don't hear it.
Listen, another confession. I got confessions tonight. This just
Come on.
What's happening?
But with that, Pastor always he tells me the same thing. He's like, why are you going back and forth with them? Because I'm the one, I say do this and they ask questions of why, and I'm going back and forth with them. He was like, no, you just tell them something to do and you just do it. That's why they call me and Justin oil and vinegar. Because me and him just go almost like tit for tat until I get fed up. It's like, I'm the mama, shut up, But that helped me. It's like, no, you're gonna end up doing what I told you to do anyway. So I'm not gonna exert myself by getting upset or frustrated because I'm going back and forth with you.
But sometimes you can just walk away. So I understand sometimes it's hard, and we're taught as Black mothers that they don't get to do this, and that. You're not gonna say this, and we have this program that we go through as our children talk to us. And so if you cannot have a conversation with them and know that they're gonna rebut you, walk away. Meaning you walk away, meaning you go, hey, go do those dishes and turn and go. So now there's no interaction for you to have with me.
They're not gonna argue to your back, like
they might, and then you might have to choke them. But that's another call. That's another call.
I was thinking those words.
We got some mandated reporters on here, Kay, so we can't.
I'm a mandated reporter. I'm like,
me too.
Right. That's why I was like, that's another call. We talk about that later. That's offline. But if you walk away, it lets them know the conversation is over without you. Because if you stand there, you're saying engage with me.
Yeah.
You're reinforcing their behavior. That's reinforcement. Even if it doesn't look like good job, just engaging is reinforcing it. But another tactic that I really like, so everyone doesn't like positive reinforcement. Everyone doesn't like good job, attention, job well done. Some people really shy away from that. So you really have to know your children. My 2-year-old, well, 3, he's 3 today. It's his birthday.
Happy birthday!
So he loves anything. I mean, he just likes to be around mommy. So whenever he does well, he gets the high fives and the stickers and the hugs and the kisses. My 10-year-old, he's like, I prefer you to leave me alone as a reward. And that's the thing. So if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a reward, can you give me a break? Can you give me, can you just let me go to my room and be by myself? Can you take the chores off of my task list? So as a reward for him, I may say, you know what? You've been doing e-learning so well, only do the first 5 problems and then you're done. Like, yes. And because work is really hard for him. So that's where we have a lot of our behaviors. So this is about, we're talking about behaviors and how to minimize them. I know for my son, e-learning is very hard for him. It's hard when he's in school. So I'm really interested in hearing more about homeschooling techniques as well, because now I'm thinking like, do I even want to take him back to school? Because I'm seeing the struggle like firsthand. So now I can individualize his lesson plan like I've never had a chance to do before. And I know he's struggling. So why am I going to say, good job, keep going, do one more? And he's like, can I just be done? I'm like, okay, fine, you're done. And so that's his reward. So you need to know your child and reinforce their behavior according to what they like.
Yeah.
So for me, a lot of my friends happen to be school teachers. Like a big, humongous chunk of them are school teachers. And one of the things a teacher/parent friend shared with me earlier on, because I struggle with my son, because his issue, and obviously I started homeschooling at the gate. So I was home with them from birth and then went straight into homeschooling. And so one of the things that occurred for him is he's like, why am I doing this work? I know this stuff, lady, why we having this issue? And he's like, why do I have to do this? And so one of the cool parts about homeschooling, or the program that we selected, was that it allowed him to take the assessment. And so he could assess out of doing the work. And so I was like, but that's not good. Because, we think of the things that we've been taught. Yes. And so in my head, I'm like, you need to write it 5 times. You need to do this. Because that's how we were taught. And what she had to explain to me is that homework, typically teachers know within the first 5 problems if a child is capable. Homework is really just practice. And so some children need more practice than others. But if you are an amazing violinist, what I'm having you do and what I'm having a beginner violinist do are two totally separate things.
Yeah.
And so we miss that when we're in the classroom, which is why everyone gets the same assignment. So I need you guys to do 20 problems because there's one person who needs none of these problems. And then there's another kid who is like,
I love them.
Do it again.
so you gotta, right. So that's the thing I think we miss. And if you have the ability to homeschool your child, that's the part you're missing. You're thinking that they're there doing the most amazing work, and kudos to teachers, love them. But again, they can't specify a program that is specifically tailored to your child, which you can do if you have the ability to homeschool. So if your child doesn't need 20 problems, why are you making them do 20 problems?
And that's when you get those behaviors.
That is exactly what our
Absolutely.
issue was. And so for me, I learned from the beginning that that was not his jam. And so I literally, for him, was like, here is what you need to do. And you need this many of these, you need these many, like they had all their subjects. And so I'm like, you need to do 2 histories, you need to do 3 maths, and you need to do 4 readings or whatever. And I gave him his assignment up front. He was like, and so once I'm done, I'm done. I was like, yes, as long as you pass your assessment. He would be done at like 12 o'clock. He's like, peace out, I'm gone. And so what makes me want to force him to sit at that desk and continue to work? But in a classroom, that's what you have to do. And then that's when for me, I found a lot of our boys end up in classrooms having a struggle because number one, boys are not, the way boys learn and the way girls learn are completely opposite.
Yes.
Girls can sit at a desk with a piece of paper and just like y'all, they taking notes.
Yeah.
They're listening. And a boy is like, I got all this energy. Listen. We doing.
Let's go.
Oh my God. And he won't stop moving. And you're like, cause you just, what do you, I don't understand. Why I gotta,
Lord.
and so I had to take that off my plate. So homeschooling, in my mind, I wanted it to look like school. And I took that off of my plate and allowed them to lay on the couch, lay on the floor, do whatever it is that makes it work for you. It doesn't have to be my way that you learn.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So laying in the bed doing work is okay?
If that's what's comfortable for them. Just think about it. If you could do your job, whatever your job is, and if you could do it to the best of your ability, the way you liked to do it, would you go into an office every day? Some people would.
No.
But some people would.
Have you say no.
And so think about the fact that you have an opinion of how you live your life and an opinion of how you do things, and you have desires, and you're like, I would like to just sit here with no pants and no bra and just live my best life and do the work I gotta do. That's just my opinion.
But you know what, Kay, I'm so with you because me and Sanaa had to come to an agreement for her homeschooling. The 2 days that she actually has to log into the computer, go ahead, go in the office, give your teachers your undivided attention, sit up and give it to them. But on Tuesday and Wednesday and Friday, I let her sleep a little longer. She can take her laptop in the bed. She can lay there, do whatever she needs to do. As long as when I come back home, it say checked in, it's all submitted, it's done, or she's working on it, we good. Because we were fighting like in the beginning, getting messages, things weren't in or out. So it was really hard. But I was like, you know what? If this works for you, let's make it happen. And those grades shot up. I mean, things were rocking and rolling. Now, am I homeschooling next year? Mm-mm. But
Ebony, you don't know.
Well, but
we don't know what's going to happen in August.
Well, that's true. But here's the other thing. I feel like because the working mother, I'm at a disadvantage because I'm not working at home. I'm working still in the office. If I was still at home, I'm down for it because I figured it out. But there are just some times where I feel like I need to be here to, you know, give the supervision just to kind of be I don't want her in the house by herself, just homeschooling. Who knows? Like I have to have cameras all around. But that's you know, yeah.
You know, I think this time has kind of forced us all, for those that haven't homeschooled, it's kind of forced us even to get to know our children.
Yeah.
Because I know they're with the teachers more than they are with us. Because sometimes, I don't know if you all have experienced this, but I would tell, like they'll come home with a math problem and I'll show them the way I learned, which is still 1 + 1 = 2. And that's what my teacher said this. It's almost like they putting their teacher above their mama. And I have to tell them, well, I'm your mama, But I think this has forced us to even get to know our children. Like Dominique, you mentioned, Kay, you mentioned, all of our children are different. Yeah. So I know, like for Justin, he's the type that he likes the positive reinforcement. He likes, hey, you're doing a good job. I need you to do this. I know you can get straight A's. I know you can do this. I know you're smart. You're a genius. He needs that. Jaden is just like, give me what I got to do, and I'm gone. I'm gonna keep my straight A's. He don't need that. But if I try to tailor how I, operate with both of them, one of them is going to be at a disadvantage.
Yep.
So that's what I've seen. So, and I'm going to tell y'all, I used to say, man, actually, before all this started, we were even thinking, should we pull them out of school and homeschool? And I was like, and they was like, well, no, because I'm a freshman in high school and I'm 7th grade. I want to go to, Jaden want to go to high school. Justin want to continue. And so we kind of let it go. But now we were forced to do it. So I'm like, Lord, is it you? But now finding out how they operate is different. Like the other day, I don't have to do this with Jaden. I don't have to sit by him and make sure he's doing his work. But with Justin, I laid in the bed. That's why I say, is the bed okay? Because I laid in the bed with him. My neck was hurting, but he got a couple of assignments done. I helped him. I screenshot some things for him and he sent it to his teacher and he felt good about himself. I was like, my neck hurting, but if that's what I got to do to push him to be his best, that's what I'm finding out during this time.
But what we're finding in a lot of early childhood classrooms is that they're taking like desk out of the traditional desk out of classrooms and stuff out of rooms anyway. They're allowing children to stand up and move around more. The classrooms are more set in like pods and stuff like that, because it makes it a little bit more easier for them to be able to get some of those wiggles out and move around. And they, everybody learns differently. So it kind of gives them the ability to do that.
That's
I needed that pod for Dexter, because oh my God, if that teacher would have called me one more time about him dancing and moving and she,
oh my God, crisscross applesauce. They wanted little people to sit down. It's just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And when I taught for years, it was like we would do a little bit of work, and then we need to get up. We need to move around. We need to do some music. We need to do something. We need to go outside and let's get back to it. But it's because it's a push down a curriculum. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, we're in the race right now, so I need you to know all of this stuff. A lot of teachers are teaching to the test. So, it's like they're in these programs, they're in these classrooms, and the teachers have to, you got to know all this because you got to take this testing, and it has to be all of these things. And if you're not getting it, then, the repercussions on me as an educator is going to be something. Right. So, that's why you have that. But it's just, it makes more work harder for the teacher to me when it's like, they can't get up and move around and all of that.
I see Jaden moves around and he sings and does all this. And I'm like, hey, calm down. Because how we were taught is sit down, shut up, get your work done. And that doesn't work now.
It didn't work then.
It didn't work then.
Yeah, it didn't work then, but we had to.
They just beat us into submission.
Exactly. You got beat into submission, and you knew that all of these things would happen because you didn't do what was expected of you. But it didn't work. It did not work.
Well, I guess that's true.
And then you got to look, like you mentioned, some of our students, your child being at a deficit because you're teaching one way. So imagine how many students are at a deficit because the classroom has to be taught right here. Because this hits who's here and it hits who's here. And a lot of times, and this is where I found myself, is that my kids were here. And so they just weren't even, like, they weren't touched. And I remember I let them go into school at 3rd grade. They had tested into a really amazing school, like one of the top schools. So I was like, okay, we're going. And by the time we got to the middle of the year, I told them, I said, if you can tell me 3 things that you learned this year that I did not teach you prior to you going to school, you can stay in school. And not 3 things, like this was collectively. So the 2 of them had to come up with 3 things. So 1 each and then 1 together. They couldn't think of anything because
Wow.
everything was right here.
Wow.
That's bananas.
Exactly. But you don't know that as a parent because
Yeah.
you're like, I'm sending my kid off and it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But think about this. How many adults are still stuck right here?
Well,
Because
listen, okay.
listen,
I started to say that too, because even
you
like
having a conversation with an adult, or you working with somebody at your job on a team project, or just dealing with somebody in life, and you like, ooh, that you just or you know what I'm saying? The deficits, you see them, or like. This is why it's important to have a circle, people that are higher than you, people that you're helping, and people that are helping you, so that life, you're not stuck right here in life. You're always growing, moving, and shaking.
So Cassandra had a good point on the news feed. She was basically saying parents on quarantine are not homeschooling. Homeschooling is more than monitoring and helping your child. Please address this point.
It depends. It depends on where you were already with your student. So for me, for homeschooling, once I had started, literally, like I said, I started when they were in kindergarten. So once I started, by the time I kind of got it all together by mid-year kindergarten, I was just monitoring them. Literally. Like it was like, here's what you got to do. You got to log on, because it was very much, so the homeschooling that I did was through a system called K-12. It's still up and running to this day.
The free K-12?
Well, it's free if you're like, there's the school that offers K-12 is Chicago Virtual Charter School, which is through CPS.
Okay.
But you can also purchase the curriculum.
Okay.
But we did it through them, so it very much was e-learning. So they had once a week where they went into an actual classroom, and then they also had video time just like this. And so I would set them up. Everything that you guys are doing now was the stuff that I would do. But it got to a point where I didn't need to teach. I was literally just monitoring. I was like, hey, did you do so and so and so? Hey, do you have any questions? That's how it progressed for us.
But so did you consider that homeschooling?
Yes, because they got a curriculum that was based for them. But I think more so, Cassandra's question is like, say it again, Yanni, just so I make sure I'm encapsulating everything.
She's basically stating that parents on quarantine are not homeschooling.
They're
homeschooling is more than monitoring and helping your child.
Some are and some aren't, though, because some are truly, like, think about it. Like Ebony is struggling with her daughter because she's having to go through those math problems. She's having to do that work because they're not getting it like this. Like they're not, whatever that time slot is that their kid is supposed to meet with the teacher, she's not getting it. She's like, I need more. And I had that same conversation with my daughter. Go ahead, Yanni.
But she's saying that someone was teaching, though. So it's not like, I think with your case, you was teaching your children. Parents helping the kids with the homework, is that different from homeschooling and just helping your children with homework?
Well, go ahead, Pastor Luna.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, for me, I still think that's homeschooling, because if she doesn't get it, then here I am teaching it all.
You have to teach it.
So I got to sit down. I got to look at this math problem. I got to
research it,
and I got to reteach it to her. Then I got to go through the practicing with her and kind of see how she's doing. And then if that's not working, then we have to reevaluate. So for me, that's teaching. Now, if I'm just sitting there making sure she didn't, did what the man said and it's turned in on time, that's monitoring. But for me, the things that I'm doing with my child, that's teaching. So I feel like during this quarantine, I'm at work, then I come home, then I'm teaching with her. I'm out teaching.
But I think even with the monitoring piece, like if they need an extra little bit of help or you're checking on them, that's teaching. You have to teach them even the discipline to stay and do what they need to do to check in and do that e-learning and all that stuff. Like there's a portion of teaching that has to happen with that as well, too.
Yeah. Yanni?
So my question is, since you're homeschooling, are you putting the Bible back into your homeschooling?
Oh, look at the Lord.
I said this is private Bible, private school.
Jesus returned to
praying in school.
Okay.
You're not praying in school.
I do Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock, Wednesdays at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. we have somebody that's normally here on Friday nights, Miss Karen, that does these
Everybody
online
ought to know.
Bible teaching. So she'll do, yes, everybody ought to know who Jesus is. So
That's right.
that's definitely one way that they'll take a break for lunch, or if we have to watch the replay later, we'll watch the replay later. But yeah, they'll do it every day at some point.
Cool.
But yeah.
I actually have sat down, like we've been having family time one time a week where I pull out the Bible, we grab a scripture, we talk about it. We've been talking about like the quarantine and how it's affecting them and relating it to the word and kind of being thankful that it hasn't affected us in ways that it's affected other people, praying for other families, because, everybody's financials have changed, living arrangements have changed, not being able to see people, it's all changed. So we've been having the conversation and talking about being thankful. That's probably like the biggest thing that we've talked about during quarantine, being thankful that God is keeping us, that he's covering us. And yeah, we bringing it back hard.
So when I did it, the program that I used, the history was Bible.
Cool.
And I was shocked. I was like, wait, what? So the history lessons that we actually did reference the Bible, reference things that happen in Bible. And this isn't a Christian, like K-12 is not a Christian, at least I didn't think it was.
Curriculum.
Yeah, it's not a Christian curriculum. And I saw a part of Cassandra's question. She was saying that homeschooling is developing the curriculum. Homeschooling has evolved to such degrees and levels that it is not necessarily developing a curriculum. It is whatever works at your home. So it is that, like, for me, even though I did the curriculum that was given to me, I had a village. And so math is not my jam. So literally I would post on Facebook, who's jumping into and this is before Zoom. I would just post on Facebook, hey, we got a math problem. Who's going to help us today? And we would have friends who would call in and help us with math problems. And they was like, yeah. And so I invited my village in. And so that was a homeschooling for us. But whereas Serena, it looks like whatever Serena wants her homeschooling to look like. There is not a pat, like universal, this is homeschooling anymore. Because of technology, because of the internet and how things have grown, there's so much that you can do with homeschooling that it doesn't just stick to, I got on a long skirt and, y'all know.
It's not the Jesus camp of homeschool
that
it used to be. Like, if y'all ever saw that documentary, it's not that anymore.
Yes, it is evolved from that. Dominique.
Yes, I have a question. And this is for those of you who have homeschooled your children. Do you feel like they are missing out on anything as far as social interactions with kids?
Right now.
Yeah.
Now, yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
but
Yeah.
When I did it, I'll say no. Their social lives were so like packed that homeschooling made so much sense for us. And I'll say this, the thing that was probably the hardest for me wasn't even homeschooling. It was combating friends and family about the fact that I chose to homeschool. Because it was like, your kids are going to be weird. Your kids are going to be slow. And it's like, who says that to somebody? Like outright, like they're like, what's wrong with you? Why would you deny them an education? I was like, y'all act like I'm like,
got them locked in the basement with nothing.
I know, right?
No, it was like they were acting like I wasn't speaking in complete sentences.
Right.
So, but for me, like my daughter at the time when I started, she was a nationally recognized power tumbler. My son was involved in every single sport. And so that allowed them to be all that they could be in those sports and in those areas because they didn't have homework. Once they were done with school, school was over.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other part that people miss. Like homeschooling, you're at home and it's done. And then like whereas other kids would go to school for 8 hours a day and then still come home and have like 2-3 hours of homework. That wasn't our life.
Bananas. That is bananas.
And then have extracurricular activities, right?
Exactly. So
we gotta.
Serena,
I had a couple comments. I have a comment from YouTube from Tiffany. She says, absolutely, Ebony, about your comment. She said, it might not be the way their actual teacher is doing it, but it's still teaching. Remember, parents, you are the first teacher.
Absolutely.
And I had a quick question from our Lifeline watch party from Crystal. She said, what would you say to parents who may not have a good grip on education themselves? How do they help their children?
Very good question.
I think that's going back to one of the things cases is, having a village. If you know that it's not your jam, math ain't your thing, well, you need to reach out and say, who can help me help my kid, right? And that can be helpful for you. And you just really taking the instructions too, saying, well, let me kind of read over this, let me figure it out, and let your kids know, hey, we're gonna work this out together,
YouTube videos.
Absolutely.
There's a creative YouTube video for every way to learn a math problem, different ways, how to, put sentence structures together, teaching, verbs now. Like there's something for everything on YouTube. And maybe even like if they like more like cartoonish videos, maybe finding out what their style is and then finding a video that will cater to their style.
And then also you have Facebook groups that cater to homeschooling as well. Yeah. So join those groups, and then you have a circle of people that some days some parents alternate and take all the kids and have, this person specializes in math. So they go to this person's house and they do math, or they come to the house and they do math. So it's other resources out there. I have friends that have homeschooled their children. They are in business, so they bring the kids to the business. They teach them business ethics, and they teach them how to do inventory, how to count. They're doing all these different things and showing them different ways. They also travel and do geography with traveling, all type of things that are just available to learn on a more creative, big, wide stage. Okay, so it's more resources out there for you.
So the coolest part about homeschooling that I was able to give my children is the travel component. And so, and not just the travel like outside of Illinois, but like literally we did a history section on India. And so I reached out to a friend who was from India. They took us to Little India, which is a village within Chicago. We went to dinner. We went to the stores. They taught us about the saris, and that's not something a kid would normally get to experience, but we did that right here in Chicago. Like we were able to go and have that experience, and they were like asking her questions, and they were like, well, does that mean this? And oh my God, we read that. And this was at 5 that they were able to have these conversations with her. And that's, I think, the other part that people miss about homeschooling is that homeschooling, the coolest part is that you're always teaching them. Everything is a teachable moment. So we went to visit their uncle, and he lives in Texas. And at that point, we had learned about slavery and what states were slave states, and they were devastated. And I was like, oh my God, what's wrong? And they were like, oh my God, Uncle G is a slave. And I was like, whoa. Because that's how but they were able to have those experiences where it carried them. It wasn't just, we read it in a book and that was it. They got experiences. And I think those experiences were more impactful than them just reading about slavery in a book. Who knew that they would take slavery and go, we're in Texas and Texas is a slave state. Uncle G is a slave. I was like, oh Lord.
Right.
So we have a question on Facebook. It says, what do I do if I'm still working and my husband is at home with the boys in charge of the schoolwork and nothing is getting done?
Ooh. Dominique, that's for you.
A family meeting. It's time for a family meeting. Everybody needs to sit down and have a conversation about what we need to do.
And why it's important.
Yes, and just like we would put a child on a behavior plan, or maybe we will break it up in steps for the child. Okay, I want you to do 30 minutes of this. I want you to do it. You may have to do the same thing for your husband. Like, okay, husband, I know that you're working and I know that you're busy, but just for 45 minutes, I need you to read this book with him just so he can get this done. And then when I come back, I'll do this. So like, you really do have to have that family meeting, set your expectations up in the beginning. And you also want to either pair that with a reinforcement at the end or a punishment. So if I come back and it is done, then I am bringing everybody home some ice cream or Dunkin' Donuts or a nice treat, or everybody's going to go for a walk or whatever. And if it's not done, then there's no Nintendo, no PlayStation, no this. These are being taken away. I need you to give me your phone. I need you. And if it's
your husband,
you got to keep it on lock. Because now I have to come home and do what you're supposed to be doing or what you should have done, and now I'm tired. So if
And we a team. Yeah.
so no, I don't have time for that because I'm tired. So until like happy wife, happy life. So if I'm walking in and I'm happy, then you are happy. But if I'm walking in and I have to nag and I have to now do what you're supposed to do, then that's not going to make a peaceful house anyway. So in order to be proactive, we don't even want to get to that part. But in order to be proactive, we want to state our expectations up front. And maybe even state what's going to happen up front.
Pastor, it might be as simple as he may not even know. He might be stuck on what he needs to do. Like it may not just be that he's just like, I'm just not gonna do it. He may not know how to do it. Maybe he needs a little help and he's unsure. So it may just be giving him.
He may not know that your son gets off task. He may think that
Right.
your son is doing it because he's on his computer, but he's off task doing something else. So that's when we really have to break it down into smaller steps and see, okay, is it that my son can't do this? Like he really needs a tutor, or he really needs more help in that area, or is he just not doing that? So let's identify what the real problem is before we can tackle it. So is my husband can't do it, or is he just, so we can meet him where he's at as well.
I think that goes with what Sharetta said, family meeting.
Yeah.
Communication is key in everything, especially during this time. So if the wife is working and they're normally taking care of the children with the school and everything, or helping them with homework, and the husband has to switch roles, I think that is great communication. Even if we say, hey, Jimmy gets off task, or you got to watch him every few minutes or every 30 minutes, go watch him, make sure he's watching a school video instead of the YouTube video that he shouldn't be watching. Kids do get off task, and especially, over here, if they see you coming, they flick over really quick, but I'm fast. I'm like, no, I'll flick back over because I know what you was doing. I'm doing homework, you watching a YouTube video.
Right. Oh my God.
But, and it might be like reworking the workspace for everybody. Dana kind of talked about it last week when she was saying that she had her little guy right there with her. Yep. Sometimes some kids need to be right at the teacher's desk. You know what I'm saying? We might need to rework the space.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Good. I think this part of homeschooling, maybe we should have titled it homeschooling / monitoring, but I think because the school building is not here, our homes have become the school.
That's right.
So, even though we're getting the work from somewhere else, I think, so that's where we're coming at when we say homeschooling. So it's not the traditional homeschooling. It's something that we've been forced into. So I think that we did tackle that part really well. So ladies, the ones that are still on here, I'm glad you're still on here. And we talked about even some stuff that you can use during the summer, the whole positive reinforcement and all of that. And that whole husband piece, that piece was like, I was like, okay, put it on lock. It's like, okay. But having that communication, sitting down and saying, hey, we're in this together. One of us is out of the house. One of us is in the house. The child still needs to learn or do their work. So we have to make it work. If you can't do it, I understand that. So even having that conversation, because sometimes men could be prideful. They don't want to let you know, I can't help Jimmy with his math because I don't understand it. But having that communication, having that conversation, will help. And if that's the case where he don't understand it, then you can't lock him out. You got to let him out in other ways. And that takes me to our next segment.
Oh, Lord.
Here's segment. Now, Dominique, I'm going to tell you this. Okay. This segment here is about to be heavy. Okay? It's about to be heavy. So you got to roll with us, right? You got to roll with us. We're all here now.
You here now.
You here now, girl.
You here now.
Let me give me a snack.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's already hot. I'm hot here. But listen,
child.
Everybody drinking their water.
Right.
I take a sip. Let's go.
Y'all gonna see why in one minute. Let me make sure
Jesus.
guys on here.
Jesus.
Girl,
Listen, I think this part is great because these are things that we're going to talk about now. We're going to chat about that women need to know, but some women, and I know for me, I was never told this, okay? And it's some important information. So I was hooked on to something that really helped me, really, I just say for a night. So I'm gonna get into my story on what happened. But I don't know if you can see that, but this is Duchess cup. So we're gonna talk about teacups. We're gonna talk about, I got this nice little teacup, for Mother's Day. And we're gonna talk about tampons and pads.
Come on now.
Child.
We gonna help
I know
somebody.
you saw the box or whatever, but I just want to pull it out and let you know kind of what I had to deal with. And it was, yeah. Hold on. I had the pretty one out too. It come in two colors. It come in pink and purple.
Mm-hmm.
So I had the purple one, okay? So I had this on. And so my circle that I have been around, they didn't tell me about this C cup, this Duchess cup. So here I am spending money on pads, the number 5 pads. If you know, you got heavy periods, like I'm spending my money on number 5 pads and the number 5 tampons. So I was
they came in
dipping and still wasn't getting nowhere with it, still messing my clothes up and stuff. So I don't know how we came to this conclusion or how we got on this subject. But somebody on my team mentioned this Duchess cup. Who did? Ebony?
That was me.
Ebony mentioned the Duchess cup. She was like, girl, I don't wear no pads or whatever. I was like, well, did you go through menopause or something? Because you did. You got to wear some pads. So they told me about this Duchess cup, and I decided to go ahead and purchase it. And it was like $16.99 for the 2 cups. I was like, Lord, you're saving me money because my pads are like $10 for a pack of purple and maybe like $8 for a pack of orange. And then I got to get the panty liners for light days. And then I got to get the heavy tampons for heavy days.
Come on, help somebody.
Come on.
The purple ones, the purple tampons and the purple pads at one point on my heavy days, and I had to change them like every 2 hours. So these days, some weeks, some months were heavy.
Yeah.
So when I learned about this here Duchess cup, I was like, well, let me try it out. So I tried it out.
And what does try it out mean, Pastor?
Because the people want to know in the comments.
Wait. Johnny?
People want to know what is the Duchess cup.
That's what I was saying.
Listen, we talking about Duchess cup, tampons and pads. So if I don't have to use tampons and pads no more and I'm still bleeding, this cup catches the blood.
Tell them about it.
So Ebony, you want to demonstrate this cup?
Demonstrate nothing.
Not demonstrate. You know what I mean.
I'm with you. Come on. This is another alternative that you can use during your menstrual cycle. That's what it is. It's another alternative. This alternative is safe. This alternative feels very natural. And
it's green. It's good for the earth.
It's environmentally friendly.
There you go.
Absolutely. And this kind of goes back to, remember how I said you need people in your circle on different levels that's going to help you. Well, Brandy actually helped me. She helped me out. And so now 2 years I have not purchased any tampons, any pads. I just wear panty liners. And so what I do here, I take this nice little cup.
Mama Von said, where do you put that?
I fold
your girlfriend. Your
the 2 of you. So this is the U C shape. I fold it, and now I make sure that I rinse it off right before I put it on, so it has a little moisture to it.
Oh, this is good.
I fold it, and then I just insert her into my girlfriend. I do.
Come on, girlfriend.
I insert her into my girlfriend, and as I insert her, she goes up, and I kind of push, and then I let go, and she pops open like that. She pops, and she stays and plays.
Can you put it in your hand? Can you show us by demonstrating in your hand?
Oh, like this?
Yes. Turn it around so I can see it though.
So I slide it, and I slide it, and I slide. I let go, and it go. Boop.
Ooh.
See, yeah, that was helpful, wasn't it? That was helpful.
That
It
was
is like a suction, and it stays in place,
Yeah,
and
it
it come down until you pull this little piece right here. You pull that on down. Now you have to be gentle when you're pulling, because remember, it has caught all of your cycle and it fills up. And so I gently pull down. You can take your thumb and kind of press in a little bit to release. So I just gently pull down. And as I pull down, I'm gonna go through it. I just turn it over and I drop my cycle into the toilet and I flush it. And
Okay.
They got questions.
Yeah, they got a lot of questions.
12 hours, up to 12 hours. So on your heavy days, you're gonna probably have to change this a couple of times throughout the day. So on my heavy day, I change it. I get up in the morning, I put it in at like 7 in the morning. I go to work, and on my heavy day, probably about noon or 1, I have to go into the bathroom. I take a towel that I have or some tissue, or you can take vaginal cloths. You can take those in there with you, and then I release it in the bathroom, and I just gently wipe the rim so there's moisture, and I fold it back on in and slide it right on back up.
So you don't have to clean it out?
Say that one more time?
You don't have to clean it out, you just put it back.
No, because it's all on the inside. You just wiping the rim. It dumps. You dump it right out. Nothing really stays.
So can you exercise in that? Like
everything. Girl, you can swim.
You cannot have sex with that.
Swim?
Now listen.
What did you say? You can't have what?
I Googled it. It says that you can, but you can't push it all the way up in there. You probably should.
No.
Look at Brandy. Brandy said
All right.
Go ahead, Brandy.
Brandy, come on.
Okay, so that's a misconception. The cup that you just showed, you cannot have sex with that cup.
No.
There is one that is more like, it's called an instead cup. It's flat. That one you can wear. That one you can wear and have sex. That one is also a lot harder to get in
and to get out.
Where it is and get it right.
There is no bottom pull with that.
Right, there's no bottom. Yeah, it looks like a diaphragm, like the old school diaphragm. That's what it looks like.
I had that one.
Yeah, that's hard to put in.
That one is disposable.
Right.
So you can wear that and you could throw it away. But I think that's the only one that you
that is the only
actually for the married people have sex with.
Yeah, this is a vacation.
That one is way messy.
Come on your cycle. It's perfect for like a vacation.
That one is way messy. Way messy.
And you want to feel comfortable, and you don't want to feel like this is a messy thing, because if you feel uncomfortable and all that, then you're just not going to use it. So in the beginning of trying it is going to take some getting used to. You are going to have to adjust. Like, it's just imagine, like, for those who use tampons, remember the first time you ever put a tampon on? You had to
I painted.
So while
you was on the floor, Yanni?
Why did you you have to adjust. And whenever you're going in the bathroom, just make sure you have your towels. Make sure you dampen your towels. Okay. Just make sure you're preparing. Wear a panty liner with it all the time. And there's 2 sizes. There's a small and a large. And read the instructions, and it'll tell you which one you should need. But you just got to be careful. Serena, you got your hand up.
Yeah, Lisa Cargo's on here. And,
I saw that.
You saw that. So she said she used a soft cup. So I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but she said she's heard that you can still have sex with a soft cup.
Right. That's the flat one we were talking about.
You were okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a guinea pig, I guess.
Wait, Pastor London, wait. Before you tell your story, I just want to say one little quick thing. Another thing is, if you have really bad cramps or if you have a really heavy period, this is scientifically proven to help both of those.
Yeah.
Because tampons and pads have chemicals in them that make you bleed heavier and have worse cramps.
That is true.
It's made out of silicone. So you will have, I'm telling you, you will have, your cramps will get better and you will not bleed as heavily either.
All right
Okay.
now.
And
Yanni?
this is true.
Yanni,
My
what's
body
up?
changed when I was 40, and I started cramping like nobody's business. And so as when Brandy shared that with me, I think it was me, her, and Kay, we were on the phone. And when Brandy shared it, I was like, oh, I want to try this because cramps are the devil.
Yes.
Listen, don't mess around and get a good cramp in your butt. Listen, here now. Come on. I'm just saying, but and since these 2 years, I don't have cramps anymore, and I wasn't a cramper. So when they came, it just uncomfortable for me. So I don't have cramps anymore. My heavy day is only one good heavy day, and my cycle is only 4 days.
Come on.
What else is a good way to help with cramps? Vaginal steaming, bee steams are amazing.
Pastor, let me fix your face. Pastor, let me fix your face.
Hey. Bee steams are amazing. They're herbal. They help with. Look, she has a pot at home. They have these things that you can have at home that you can do to help basically with menstrual cramps, help with the heavy bleeding. It is amazing, amazing, amazing. To take it from an esthetician, I wouldn't tell you if it wasn't something that was good, something natural that can help with your.
Does it tighten the vajayjay?
It can rejuvenate. It can help rejuvenate your vagina.
That's a yes. I know what rejuvenate means.
How does it work?
Basically, they're on a pot. Now, if you go to some Oriental spas, basically you can go into a room and you're sitting on a pot. They have a pot of herbs that they heat up. And basically with that, you would sit there for however long, like 30 to 40 minutes.
45 minutes.
Okay, 30, 45 minutes. You on there. Well, and basically it steams up the inside of your vagina.
Rejuvenation.
Before the period comes, right?
You can do that before your cycle comes. Yes.
So, okay, how are you sitting on this little bitty pot? How's that working?
It's like you're sitting on a toilet.
Oh, well, come on. It looks like
but it's
it's
open at the bottom.
That's
Ebony has one that you can do at home. But I have one at Oriental spas that you can go.
Ma'am, that's a bedpan. Just so we all clear.
Just put a little steam under it. You got a good old.
Right. And some people actually put it in their toilet and sit on there to actually use it.
Wait, what now? Say that again.
Some people actually use it on their toilet.
Yes. Because it's a bedpan.
It is not a bedpan.
Okay.
You want
But I'm telling you,
you gotta look at some different things to
rejuvenate the vajayjay. Come on.
It's herbal based. It is amazing. It's healthy for our inside reproductive system. It is good. It is good. It is good.
Do you put essential oils in there?
No, it's okay. It's basically like
herbs.
So it's like it looks like, you know how loose leaf tea looks? That's
Sound like essential oils to me.
It is. It's like loose leaf teas. You sit in this chair. You get this whole cape that like covers you all the way around.
Hey, Mariam did this.
Yes.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
And the thing is called, I think they were saying, what is it called? Basically, it's called a V steam, and it's a vaginal steam.
Got it.
Okay. You just don't want them to make it too hot.
So the thing I would tell you is do not do a body scrub before you get on your V steam. Don't do it. Because if you scrub, basically that's exposed new skin and you will burn. So do not exfoliate before you sit on the pot.
Ebony.
Wow. What'd you say?
What's the name of the herbs you have?
So this one is a Yoni Steam 11 herb blend.
What herbs are in there? That look like chamomile tea. I know chamomile tea.
So this has
with a little bit of honey.
Girl, come on, Tim.
So this has sarsaparilla, parsley, frankincense, Chinese pulsatilla root, cork tree bark, basil skull cap root.
Why we got a skull cap on our vajayjay?
Listen, Sephora root, erratics, Spermy. There we go.
You better read these ingredients.
Listen,
Girl,
I'm trying to give it to you. Honey locust.
You
and
was
a
right, Tiff,
lot of
honey.
Atralotus.
It's amazing.
Chamomile tea. Love it with a little bit of honey.
Yeah.
loose leaf tea. That's what it is.
Come on, loose leaf tea. Organic loose leaf tea is probably better. Save your money. Get your organic loose leaf tea from the Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know, with all of this, I know some people saying, I wish that I had learned about this when I was going through my time or whatever. That's why you need a group of good girlfriends or a group
Absolutely.
of whoever to teach you these things, you know,
Mhm.
because if your parents didn't know it, they can't pass it down to you. So that's when you get people that experiment. So when I experimented with this thing, when I put it on the first day, it was like, okay, y'all, and I don't know if they thought I was crazy or whatever, but I was texting my group like, yeah, I got this thing on, this cup on, and it's sitting out a little bit. They was like, no, you ain't got it up there too far. I was like, okay. So then I go back in, and it took me some time to push it up, and I heard it pop. I was like, oh, okay, I think I got it in right. And it was like, yeah, you got it in right. So I was cool. I slept the whole night. It had like 12 hours. I think I pushed it to 13 hours, then it started leaking. I was like, oh, 12 hours was good enough. So I did that. And I'm like, cool. So I get up the next morning, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this again. I was like, no more number 5 pads for me. I get in. And I think I put it in the shower, like as I was showering, because I didn't want the things to be messy or whatever. I think maybe that's why I had put it up a little bit too far. But before I put it up there, I said, hey y'all, I said, can this thing get stuck? They assured me. They sent me off. They assured me that it could not get stuck. And I was like, well, okay. So I'm putting it in and forcing it in. I'm like, okay, it ain't going all the way in. I'm like, okay, I got to get this in. And so finally I get it in, and I can still feel a little tip or whatever. So then I'm like, okay, so I know this day is a little bit heavier. So I'm going to, maybe open it up or get it out more, get it out maybe 5 hours or whatever. It'll be time to go. And so when it was time to come out, I was, where the first day, the little thing was sticking out. I couldn't find the little thing. And I was like, I can't find it. So then I'm reaching around. I was a little embarrassed. So I was like, well, I'm not going to bother them again about this, because my first was successful. So I'm reaching around and feeling around, and I couldn't feel it. I started panicking. I'm like, what is going on? So I'm in the bathroom trying to get this cup out. And I'm like, okay. So I Googled,
what you Googled? You didn't tell us you Googled.
I was like, what happens if the cup is stuck? It told me to bend down, so I was doing squats. I was doing Kegels. You was pushing it up. My thighs are still hurting, okay? It took me, now Justin was cooking dinner last night.
Oh, Lord.
I said, well, I'm going to just leave. Let me go to the bathroom for a minute, because I'm thinking it's just going to be a quick pop out and whatever. 1 hour and a half later, I'm still trying to get this thing out. I was like, what is going on? I got scared. I got nervous. I started praying in the natural, praying in the spirit.
Lucia.
So I'm feeling it, and I was like, okay, I got to get 2 fingers up here so I can pull a little thing out. So I was thinking about my doctor and how, when you have your pap smear, they put fingers out. I felt like a doctor. I'm like, I cannot. So I took the thing, and I was pulling. I couldn't. It was like I was pulling, and it was like moving. I'm like, okay, I can't break it off in here. So what am I doing? So instead of me, I was still embarrassed. I didn't want to call the team again. And I'm like, they gonna think I'm crazy or whatever. So I called Pastor. I'm like, let me get this. This thing is a little bit bigger than mine. So,
Stop it.
I cannot.
You about to invite a whole nother problem, Pastor London. Whole nother problem.
Oh,
Right.
I'm telling. So I was like, okay. I said, okay, Lord. He was like, you want to go to the hospital? I'm like, no, we can't. So then, I mean, I was pulling and poking and touching. I had traumatized my inside. Ooh, like it was like, what is going on? So I finally had to let down after 2 hours, and my thighs and these squats. I had never done squats. I mean, I was like, oh, my butt was almost to the floor. I was doing these squats, and I had to stand up. I was like, oh Lord, my legs hurt. What is going on? I said, but I'm getting this thing out. I was determined. So you never stop. You always got to be determined that what you say you're gonna do, you're gonna do. I said, I'm getting up out of here. So I finally let down my pride, and I said, well, let me text the ladies and tell them I can't get this cup out because it's stuck. And they told me, they assured me that it could not be stuck. So I think it was Brandy and Evan, like, and Yanni. Yanni was like, calm down. I think she knew I was in a panic. She was like, calm down. They're down. I'm having a baby. I'm like, I done done that. I done bared that. So then Brandy was like, well, run your finger along the side to release the pressure. She said, even if you can get it on the top to release the cup. I'm like, Lord, I got to stick my fingers back up here. What is going on? So I finally released the pressure, and I heard it release, and I was able to pull it out. And I was like, Lord, I don't know. I had to go and give me some more pads, because I'm like, this was very traumatic for me. It was very traumatic. Because if you go to the hospital and you have to be, first of all, it's embarrassing. You got a cup stuck up here. You got to. But during this corona, you can't have no visitors. So
girl, was you planning to stop? The whole storyline.
I'm like, I ain't gonna have no visitors. I'm gonna be in here by myself, and they're gonna be trying to get this stuff out of me. I say, I'm not going to the hospital. Lord, you're gonna have to show me how to get this cup out.
Oh shoot! The is about to come on. But I had a revelation, Pastor London, as you were telling your story. So one thing I remember from the beginning is, in the beginning, I used to have a little trouble for it sitting in there the right way. Mm-hmm. So and I put it in the shower a lot. You actually have to get in a sitting position for it to go in there the right way.
She was sitting, her butt was almost on the floor.
That's the after squats. Yeah, but in the shower, you want to squat a little to actually insert it in.
Don't squat in the shower, Pastor London. You could slip and fall, and then somebody got to come and get you naked, and then the people gonna see you naked. That's never a good look. Don't squat in the shower.
Because you have to give yourself some squattage so you can put it in the right way. Because it will kind of go up a little too far and get to a place where you can't.
It did.
Yeah.
Those squats was moving it up though.
The squats were actually, when I bared down, it kind of helped me to reach it more. I don't know what I was doing, but my thighs were burning, but it helped the little end piece to come down more. And I was like, praise God. I'm like, so I said, well, for this month, I'm just gonna stick back to my past because I'm a little traumatic. My thing is a little traumatized. So,
Your
girlfriend is traumatized. I said, ladies, if you're married, sometimes you don't want to go to your husband with certain things.
I would have called y'all first.
Right, I'd have been called y'all.
Ooh, you think I'm gonna have Mister in the bathroom giggling at me? Yeah.
But you know what? I did that like. I wasn't afraid so much to have him do that because when I was pregnant with Jaden, after I had Jaden, I had a C-section. So when I had Justin, I had a C-section and I was doing everything to the letter. So, they told me this, and this, I did that. When I had Jaden, I thought I was a pro. So what happened was I was going up or down the stairs backwards, doing stuff they told me I should be doing, but I really shouldn't have been doing. And my incision didn't close. So it didn't close. So I had to keep going back to the doctor. They had to irrigate it and do that. So I couldn't do that every day. And I needed to do it every day. So he had to do that for me. And that was back when Jaden was maybe a baby. So that's why for me, it wasn't hard. It was easier for me to have him help than to call y'all again and be like, hey, y'all. So he's done the dirty work before, and he just helped me. He was like, well, why you didn't talk to me about this? I'm like, well, I didn't think I need to talk to you about, because I don't talk to you about using pads. I didn't think I need to talk to you about using
I think there's
well, maybe I should have. But because he was like, what is going on? He said, I knew something was wrong because you was up there for an hour. The boys want to know what's going on with mommy and everything. The food is ready, and I'm sitting in here almost in tears.
Cassandra said, never give up, Pastor. Try again.
Woo, try this month. Maybe I have a little bit more courage next month. This month, I'm going to let her rest. You know what? I used to always say as a kid that I'm not sticking anything up there but the male part. I used to say that. And so when I broke down and started using tampons, I'm like, oh, okay, I used to say this. And now I broke down and used that. And now I've gone right back. I ain't sticking nothing else. I ain't even. So I'm letting her rest. It's just come on down into the pad. I'm going to let you rest this month. So I might try next month, but this month is a wrap.
But don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
That goes, yeah. Dominique?
I feel like there is a lot of trauma that's associated with the lady parts that a lot of men don't even know about. So like, I don't know if you guys ever experienced this, if you put a tampon in and then you don't remember if you have a tampon in, and then you put a second time, you like, wait a minute, I knew there was something. Girl. Or just like, oh, did I mess up my pants, or did I mess up? It's a lot of anxiety around that.
Yeah, it is.
That's why it's important, though. Seriously, that's why it's important to do this, because we've never, like, I just do y'all. For those of you who have had babies, I feel like we didn't have a conversation about having a baby with mamas. Mm-hmm. They just let you have a baby. The stuff that happened in the delivery room, I mean, y'all could have prepped me for this. I didn't know. Did you know that you pooped on the table? I did not know that. I was upset about it. I was angry. Do you hear me? I was like, oh my God, this is embarrassing. They was like, this happens to everyone, Mom. I was like looking at my mom, like, you didn't think this was important? I feel like we don't share information. It's historical. It's part of our historical makeup that we don't share. But I think this is our moment. This is our moment to break down these barriers and start to share, which is why this girl chat has been like so important and so pivotal, because it's allowing us to have these conversations that you're like sitting in silence and sometimes suffering in silence alone, when you could just pick up the phone and call your girls with no judgment, with no like Ebony and Brandy jumped on immediately and they're like, okay, and push here and touch that. It was like a tutorial that happened. And I was like, what?
They got it out though.
And it happened like that. Like she was done like that. But that's when we're taught that we can't share, that you shouldn't have girlfriends. You shouldn't trust your friends. You shouldn't trust women. And it's like, those are all false.
That's wrong. Yes.
That's wrong. And that's the devil keeping you separate so that he can keep control over you. Because look at all of this that just happened in that. Like, we laugh about it together, but I promise you, next time it happens to Pastor London, and the next time each of us try it, we in the group like, okay, so I got it in. So then what happens next?
Right. You know what? I think these times allow us, I know for me, to be vulnerable. Because I was telling Pastor, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna share this. He was like, you gonna share this on live? I was like, well, I think women need to know this. This stuff that I didn't know. So if I can help somebody not get this stuck, or help somebody do what they need to do, that's what I want to do. So I think having these talks, having these girl talks, it's very, like you said, Kay, it's vital. It's necessary. This is stuff that we didn't have, or I didn't have before. So for me to, and I kind of say I should have, when I first couldn't get it out, I should have just, I didn't even have to involve him, but I could have just said, hey, y'all, how I get this out? But I was a little nervous. I'm like, they already told me how to put it in. Now they're going to help me get it out or whatever. But there was no judgment. I know she said, calm down, because I was anxious. It was like, do this, do this, almost like, hey, we've been through it, girl. Do this, do this,
Yep.
do this. And I did what they said, and I experienced results. But I had to let down my pride, let down my guard to ask the girls, hey, how do y'all show me how to put it in? Now, how do I get it out?
Right.
But that if we don't have these circles, if we don't have these people that we trust and that we can go to, or if we have pride or walls built up, we'll be on the island by ourselves. And we always say, don't do life alone. That's our motto at Lifeline Church. So that's one thing. I didn't do life alone in this instance, you know, and y'all can help me back next month. I'll let you know what help back next month. But yeah, but I think this kind of, we will take maybe a few more minutes and kind of roll into women's health. So that's another thing that, you know, certain things we don't know to do. And when we go to the doctor, it's just, we just lay up there and let them do whatever they're going to do. We're not aware. So what are some of the things that we should be asking our doctor when we go, instead of just saying, hey, I'm here for my checkup, do what you're going to do?
I think one of the most important things for me was, I think because we get anxious when we go to the doctor, and there can be a little sense of nervousness around it, what was helpful to me was for me to pre-write questions down that I wanted to ask the doctor. I think when you're in a certain age bracket, you know, they feel like, and you don't have any pre-existing anything going on, they will rush you through an appointment, right? They'll just be like, take your blood pressure and check your weight, and we'll see you next time. And you have questions about things. So I think if you write it all down and you like, hey, I don't want to be rushed. I got things that I need to ask you. Write it down and ask the questions that you need to ask, and be an advocate for yourself. Right. Because if not, when something does come up, then all they, you know, the doctors want to do is push medicine. They're going to push medicine to you, as opposed to, let's set up a plan. What's something else we can do? Can I meet with a dietitian? Do I just need to change my diet? Do I need to just work out? What do I need to do? Don't just start, you know, telling all this stuff to me, and then that freaks you out even more.
Yeah.
I think before we even get there, we have to make sure that we are going in for our routine checkups and making sure we're staying consistent with that. Because I think that sometimes that some people may not, because we're getting so wrapped up in everybody else's well-being and everybody else's needs, and then we kind of forget, like, wait a minute, I got to take an appointment for myself to make sure everything's good. So we definitely have to make sure that stays consistent. And we had a comment too from Ms. Karen saying that it's good to write your questions down that you may have before you go to the doctor too, so that if something, may come up in between your visits or whatever, you're prepared and can ask them some things.
Definitely. Because, you always have stuff that happens before you get to the appointment, and then by the time you get there, it's gone. So you don't forget about it, and then it comes back and you like, I done went already, and you just feel silly. So it is, when things come up that are happening to you, write them down. Plus it allows you to be more mentally aware of the things that are happening with your body. So if you keep writing it down, you like, man, every month I do blah and blah. Then you become aware of it. Because I think that's the other part. I think some of us, we're not all taught to be cognizant of our body and the things that happens with our body. So we experience pains all the time, but nobody tells you, like, when you first get your period, and for Black girls, a lot of us get our periods way
younger. Oh my God.
Way young. Yes. Like, I got my period at 9 years old. Yes. And that's like insane. That's third grade. Just so we're all clear. That's third grade that I'm walking around with a pad before a pad's stuck in your panties. I'm walking around with the pad that had the belt at third grade with no purse. How does that look? With the belt? Listen, third grade was a long time ago. But we're not taught the things that happen when your period comes. You're not taught that potentially your breasts are sore. You're not taught that your hormones are heightened. You're not taught any of that. And so I found way after third grade that I'm going off on a kid. And I'm like, why am I going off on this kid? They didn't really do nothing. And then I have to backtrack and go, oh my God, every month I lose it. So you have to be aware of what's happening. Go ahead, Yanni.
I think also we have to dismantle fear when it comes to actually going to the doctor. So many times we look like, oh no, I can't go to the doctor. I'm so afraid to go to the doctor, because you're afraid of what they will tell you.
Well, because you done waited so long to go that now they got bad news.
Correct. But the thing, even in that, is it's better to know so you can deal with it. You will have a target to pray for, You can deal with it accordingly. But sometimes we don't want to deal with it. So we ignore it, and then it becomes a big problem, and then we're left with the huge mountain to cross over. So I think we have to dismantle fear when
That's true.
Yeah.
Especially like with breast exams, because I know at one point there was a whole wave of fear. I know I shared my kind of experience with the last breast exam or whatever. But that's one thing that we at a certain age. What age is it? Is it 40? 40. Start going to get your breast exam. And then you mentioned knowing your body. That is so true, because for me, the doctor would be like, when you go in for your checkup, whatever, she's like, well, when did your cycle last come on? Or how many days is your cycle? And I didn't know that. So I think Kamika put on here, she put it on her notes and her calendar. I think back in 2014, I started tracking my cycles. And it's like, oh, some days it's 25, some days it's 23, or one time it was like off the chart. It was like 10, and then it came right back on. I was like, what is really going on? So I was able to explain that to the doctor when I went for my checkup. I'm like, hey, this is this, and this. And she said, what she thought it was or whatever, but then it went back to normal. But I don't even know if we were taught to know ourselves, to know our bodies. So even this is good when you have people that either are doing it, maybe older than you, they're doing it, or even somebody that's younger than you that's doing it can help you out. Otherwise, we'll just be going along, we don't know anything. But that is good, knowing your body.
Because they also have, Pastor London, the sidetrack, they have an app too, that you can put on your phone that you can track your cycle that way too. Yeah, that kind of helps you out too.
What was it? The calendar.
That's the best app ever.
Yeah, there's one that's literally called the Period app, and it'll tell you when you ovulate, when your period. And it's really good because you can plan out when your period is gonna come.
Yeah. The other part is when you were mentioning the different things that happen during your cycle, and that's why the conversations are so important. When you say to somebody, "Girl, I had my period, and then it's gone and it's back," that's how you dialogue, because what you'll find out is that when you're under undue stress,
come on,
so your body adjusts to that undue stress. So like I remember in college, I went through some stuff, and it was like my body went upside down, and I like just had a period for like a month, and it was like, why am I still just, but your body is affected by everything that happens with you, and we're not always aware of that or cognizant of it. Your body is going through because it's protecting you. It's maneuvering to save you.
Even stress, and then even how you eat, sometimes it might cause you to have a heavy cycle for a long period of time, or you may not experience a period for a long amount of time. So stress, the way you eat,
all of that. That's the cramps too.
Stress is
everything.
Stress is the underlying to a lot of health issues. Stress. And especially with women, our hormones are easily to go off the chart. Imbalance really easy. I think I went through a very stressful time maybe like 3 years ago, and my cycle stayed on for 8 months.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I am not the woman with the issue of blood. I'm not the woman. That was my confession. I'm not the woman with the issue of blood. I am whole. Okay, but guess what? When it came down to it, I was so stressed because I was doing everything for everybody and not allowing my body to rest. I went for vaginal ultrasounds. She didn't give me Magestrol to stop the cycle. The cycle came back. I said, it's powerful. This cycle was breaking through everything.
Came back with a vengeance.
I was taking, I feel like I'm a hippie. I love earth things and learning about natural remedies to cure my body. So I was like, I'm getting blackstrap molasses. I'm putting that in tea. I'm trying to stop it and stir it up to drink it. And guess what? It was breaking through because I wasn't dealing with the stress on the inside of me.
But I got a question, Yanni. Did you even know that you were stressed?
I did not know I was stressed.
That's usually the problem. We are unaware of the things that we are putting ourselves through because we take it all on. We take care of everything and everybody before we take care of ourselves. And this is one of the first conversations we had in Girl Chat was put on your own mask.
Correct.
We're not doing that. We're not taking care of us.
Correct. And it took the doctor when she went, because I finally got an appointment to get in, I was like, girl, my girlfriend is in trouble. I don't know what's going on. I had her laughing, she looking at me, and I'm like, it won't stop. Like, it won't stop. And so she was like, she did all of that, and she looked at me. She said, I said, am I going through the change? Am I going through menopause? Girl, tell me, am I going through menopause? I was trying to rationalize, why am I doing this? And she told me, she said, start saying no.
Wow.
And after that became a message. No, I can't do it. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah.
I just told somebody on this call that one of our girlfriends, we was chatting, you know, and this is why you need a good girlfriend, that it's okay to say no. And we teach that lifeline. It's a complete sentence, because you running around, you doing everything for everybody. And honestly, even during this quarantine, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, I'm resting, I'm chilling. And I've been feeling like I ain't resting. I'm coming home, I'm teaching, I'm, you know, cooking, we painting the house and doing some stuff in the house. And I just kind of one day was like, okay, look, like we've been doing too much. Like, no, today we're gonna chill. No, you just gotta stop. Right. And it's okay to stop. It's okay. We don't always have to be on the go. We don't always have to be doing something. And you know, that's a learned thing, but we don't have to. They can cook. Yeah. Or they can pour some milk in a bowl with some cereal.
Or they could just be hungry.
Girl.
I think Dominique.
Question. It talks about our learned behavior, and it talks about our avoiding going to the doctor. And I don't know, do you think we do this because we are used to being in pain, or we're used to tolerating more, or we're used to always going and doing? Like, for a long time, I had back pain, and I never thought to go to the chiropractor. I never thought to go to a physical therapist. I was just like, well, that's just what happens when you have babies, or that's just what happens when you're moving and going. Or now, you know, I feel like I'm having carpal tunnel, just being in the house, being on the computer. And I was like, well, that's just what happens. Everybody I know has a brace on their arm when they, you know, it's just like we are used to seeing this done in our community. So when it happens to us, it's just like, it's just a war scar.
That is a part of the disparities that everyone is talking about when it comes to African Americans and their health. Correct. That is a huge part of that, because I don't remember going to the doctor as a kid. Unless something broke or something serious happened, we didn't go to the doctor. So we weren't given those luxuries. And it's unfortunate that you go medical care is a luxury. And so we've been taught to live and accept these disparities among our healthcare, which is why more of our women die during birth. More of our women have issues in health, because when we do go, because we're nervous to go. Because we've never seen anybody go. We've never seen anyone advocate for themselves. And so when you get there, it's just like, you saying nothing wrong with me? Well, I guess I didn't really think nothing was wrong, because you're never given permission to have someone care about you.
That's good. That's real good. Along with that too, you got to think me growing up, I knew that like if something was hurting, they just popped pills, right? Somebody took an ibuprofen, somebody took a Tylenol, they took something a little stronger. And that's just how they move. And I think when you do that so much, you don't listen to your body. So you don't know, like, what kind of pain is this? What's really kind of hurting? We can't really describe it, because as soon as our finger hurt, we're going to take a Tylenol.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We're silencing the actual signal that God gave us as a signal.
What's going on?
Going on. So we're silencing it by the medicine we're putting in our body.
And then another thing is, we have options either.
Mm-hmm. The options, yeah.
Like, as far as like the reason why a lot of us don't go to the doctor is because we feel like if we do go, we're going to get diagnosed with something. They're going to tell us to take something. If we have the right to rebut that and say, like, hey, what side effect does this give me? I don't want medicine. What else can I do? Is there something I can eat that can change this? But we don't know that information. We feel like we have to take their word for it because they're professional. And it's just like, yes, take their word for it, but there's always another solution to the problem. But like you said, medicine silences it. It doesn't fix the problem.
That's the alternative.
And then a lot of times our families, we don't talk about what's going on in the family. Like everybody just said Big Mama was, she had the sugars. Well, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, what does that mean? Maybe if Big Mama had changed her diet and taught me how to change my diet, then we wouldn't be dealing with this. You know what I'm saying? So I think sometimes we just don't have the conversations about it. You know, like, hey, what are some natural things that I can do? Can I see the dietitian? What else can I do besides taking this medication? And knowing that your body is feeling different.
Right. Because we don't have the conversation, it's not normalized. So now when we have talk about self-care, people looking at me like you're selfish because you're taking care of yourself. So when I say, no, I'm at the chiropractor and I'm getting a deep tissue massage because that's what my doctor ordered, I got people looking at me like, ain't you supposed to be working? Ain't you supposed to be doing this? Ain't you supposed? I'm like, I'm trying to take care of myself. And now I'm looked at as a weak woman or a woman who can't cope with life because I want to do some self-care because it's not normalized. It's looked at as a luxury.
Well, here's the other part though.
That's so deceiving.
But here's the other part. Why are you explaining to someone where you are and what you're doing? You don't owe anyone an explanation. However, culturally, we've been taught that if you say no, you need to give them all the reasons why you cannot do what they need you to do. But no is a complete sentence. So when you're at the chiropractor, no one needs to know that you're at the chiropractor. I'm unavailable right now. They don't need to know what you're doing. I understand that you have to normalize the conversation, but you can only normalize the conversation if the people are in your life are ready, which means then you need to start to expand your circle and grow your circle so that you get around people that are ready for your conversation instead of staying in a circle that's going to stifle you and suffocate you.
And help you expand your conversation.
Definitely.
True healthcare is self-care.
Amen.
Yeah.
Say it again for the people in the back.
Yeah.
True healthcare is self-care.
Definitely.
Thanks.
The other part though, when you guys talk about advocating for yourself, one of the things I want to share is that when you do go into the doctor and you get a diagnosis or you ask for something. So let's say you go to the doctor and you're like, hey, I'm in pain. My left shoulder hurts and I think it's blah, blah, blah. And they go, there's nothing wrong with you, Dominique. You're fine. Your next statement should be, I totally understand. Can you put that in my chart? Because then there is a record that you asked for help. And typically, once you ask for help and then you ask them to place it in your chart, now I think a little different because now I got to write that I told her no, that I wasn't going to check on her shoulder. So, yeah.
I like that.
Hold them accountable for taking care of you. You paying for it.
But until like the 70s, doctors, you got to understand, patient rights became a huge thing in the 70s. Like when we were fighting for our rights as citizens, people were fighting for patient rights because doctors were just able to come into a room. And that's where you see the lawsuits where people are like fighting to get someone off of a ventilator because the doctor is like, this is what they need. That's when patient rights came into play in about the 70s, where the doctor-patient relationship kind of shifted. And even now you'll still see it shifting because now they'll come to you and just give you all this information and say, hey, Dominique, this is what's going on with you. And you're like, well, what do I do? And they're like, we can't tell you what to do, but we're going to get, these are your options. And it's a dance that we're currently doing with healthcare right now, but definitely advocate for yourself, and anything that is going on with you, any concerns you have them put it in your chart. So that when the next person sees you, they go, oh, it's kind of like when you call the credit card company and you go, who am I talking to? Can you put it in my file that I called Keisha on the 26th and she said that y'all was going to take this? It's that same advocating for yourself, that exact same thing.
And it's also,
so if we want to
go ahead, Tim.
No, go ahead. You go ahead, Yanni.
I was going to say, it's also okay to get second opinions if something is going on. And don't go in the same system of hospitals. Go outside to another system to get the opinions, because they have a set protocol at each hospital on how to deal with a certain thing. And they're going to look and say, oh, Dr. John told her this. No, go somewhere else outside of the system of hospitals. That's in your network if you have that type of insurance.
Without giving them your diagnosis.
Without giving your diagnosis.
That's good stuff.
So if people want to advocate, for their health, and let's say they're less encouraged or they don't desire to really go down the route of like popping pills. What have you guys ever had like a holistic doctor? And if so, what's your
I have
experience?
one right now. My primary care doctor is a functional medicine holistic doctor.
What's his name?
His name is Dr. Nicole Mahoney.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, I didn't have a holistic. I was supposed to have it was a whole thing a couple of summers ago. I was supposed to have emergency, what was it? I supposedly had an appendicitis. And I had they were like, we're taking you into surgery. It was this whole thing. I promise. I went into urgent care and they sent me to the hospital. It just was a slew of things that just kept happening. And I looked up and I had the thing, the beep beep, the heart monitor on. I was like, wait, listen, I got a kid to pick up. I didn't sign up for this today. And so in that they were ready to push me into surgery. And I was like, I'm not going nowhere because my mama don't know where I'm at. But caveat, my mother is also a nurse. So that was I was like, y'all can't, nope. But what ended up happening is in that process, no one could really figure out what was wrong with me. They just wanted to have surgery that night. And I was like, I can't do it. And they were like, but you have to. And I was like, clearly I don't, because I've been in pain since the 17th and it's now the 1st. I think I'm gonna be okay. They was like, but no. And I was like, and I called Sister Audrey and she walked me through a plan. And I went back to the doctor and they were like, we can't find what's wrong. Like, we don't see anything.
See?
Wow.
So I did everything she told me to do. Cause she was like, if you want to have surgery, you want them, because I don't know if you ever talked to her, but she's like, you want them to cut on your body, then let them cut on your body, child. We can get off this phone. I was like, oh.
She will get you right together.
Snatched, all my edges gone. I was like, okay. But I did everything she told me to do. And she was like, go back in a month. I went back in a month. And they like, at that point, wanted to have me be a study. And I was like, no. I'm not going to pay you to study me. Because they wanted to know why I didn't have the issue anymore. They was like, appendicitis doesn't, like, they burst and they become a huge issue. And I never, to this day, I've not had the surgery. Just so we're all clear.
That's good business.
Yeah.
That's good. You know, Kamika mentioned on here something that's very important. Your family history is so important, but sometimes your family
don't know it.
tell you things until it's too late.
Yes.
So I know we've been taught, and we even teach it about generational curses. So we know we're redeemed from the curse. There are generational decisions. So like, if diabetes ran in your family, there's something that people that have it are doing to get that to stay. They're eating certain things or not eating certain things. But when we open the door to that and we continue in that eating cycle, whatever is causing that door to open, that's when it comes to us. So if we know our family history, because the doctors do that a lot, did your mama had this? Did your grandmama had this? And so it's like try to put what our parents and grandparents had on us. But we have a responsibility to, first of all, know what kind of ran through the family and cut it off by doing things differently. So if Big Mama used to eat greens with salt pork and she had diabetes, I can't eat no greens with no salt pork. Maybe I have to eat greens with some smoked
turkey
or something
or no meat at all.
Or no meat at all. They have I think with vegans, they have some kind of smoke thing. What's it called?
Liquid smoke.
Liquid smoke that tastes like meat. So that's some things that we have to consider too.
Y'all be careful with that liquid smoke. Y'all be careful with that liquid smoke. I'm for real.
Oh, I don't use it anymore, but I'm just saying, if you need to have your meat, you can use some other substitute for that. But the doctors always ask for your history and your grandparents and their grandparents to push it down on you. But we have the ability, and we know to change that whole, it don't have to run anymore. We can cut it off by what we do. And so, but I think tonight has been a little heavy. It's been good. We went from homeschool to the Duchess Cup. So if you hadn't seen it, this is the Duchess Cup. And so this is the cup that you can use for your it comes in a pretty pink bag.
Ain't it cute?
And so
cute until it gets stuck.
You so shady.
No, I'm so scared.
Ebony did it this way, inserted or whatever. So this is thing. So if you want to not use pads anymore and you're brave enough, go ahead on and use the Duchess cup.
Not going on.
I think homeschooling, whether it's homeschooling or monitoring, I think that conversation was good. So ladies, if you have enjoyed yourself tonight, and then we talked about women's health, advocating for women's health. If you have enjoyed yourself tonight, just give us some hearts, give us some likes, do something, let us know that you have enjoyed tonight. And so I want to make sure we're going to let you go because we've been on here almost 2 hours. We're on here an hour and 50 minutes, which is longer than we've been on here.
Ever.
And it doesn't seem like it because we're having
It don't.
So if you've enjoyed these topics, just let us know, share with us, because as we always say, we want to bring topics that help you win. And we're bringing them in jokingly, and some of them jokingly, but nonetheless, these are topics that we as women need to know. So make sure you are following us, following our Facebook page. And so next week, we'll be talking about makeup and catfish. Makeup and catfish. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. It's going to be on again and popping on next week. Now, if you are a partner of Lifeline Church, or if you're not a partner, of somebody, tomorrow from 10 to 12, we're having our praise and pickup. So make sure you come on out. Pastor Reggie and I, we want to see your face. Bring your children. We have special treats for the children. So kind of take them on a drive, put their mask on. We won't be touching and doing all of that. We social distancing. We'll have our mask on and everything, but we just want to see your face tomorrow. So in between the time of 10 to 12 at Lifeline Church main campus, make sure you're coming by. We have the first 100 people that come, we have a 100 life bag giveaways. It'll have food, toiletries, water, essentials. So if you need that, you'll be able to get a bag if you're within the first 100. And we'll also be giving communion out tomorrow as well. So make sure you come on now so we can see your face. We did this last month and it was such a blessing. And I know we didn't see all of the partners, but the ones that we did see, it was such a blessing to see you all, because right now all we have is virtual. So I see the ladies on this call, but I can't see you, on the, scrolling up and typing. I can't see you, but it would be wonderful, marvelous for us to see you tomorrow between and 12 for our praise and pickup. So come on out. And then if you've enjoyed it, sow a seed into Winning Women. So we have several platforms that you can give towards, and so we have that on the screen. So make sure you go through one of those platforms and let us know, or type in Winning Women, so we will get those funds and we're able to do what we do. We're able to plan our next events because we won't be quarantined forever. So we have events that we are planning, and you better believe when we come back and we're able to come back, it's going to be major. Okay. It's going to be major. So we are looking forward just to that. But until we get to that point, we're going to see you every Friday, for our Friday Night Live Girl Chat. So again, if you have enjoyed yourself, share it. Make sure you're sharing it. Make sure you're giving us hearts, giving us likes, and take these nuggets, as I say every week. Take these nuggets. I know some of this was funny, some of it was serious, but take these nuggets and go and do it so you can win in every area of your life. That's our purpose here for Winning Women, to win in every area of her life. Kay, you have something?
Yes. The next time you come and join us, bring a girlfriend so y'all can have girl chat after our girl chat and be like, girl, so we're going to try this. And girl, let's try that. That would be how you build your village. Invite your girlfriends to join you on girl chat, and then y'all can chat about it afterwards.
You get your information from here, you go and you take the information and give it to your circle, because there's always somebody that knows something more than you. If you think you are the smartest one, you are wrong. There's somebody that's smarter than you. There's somebody that's been through more. There's somebody that knows more than you. And so that's part of what our platform is here. we have everybody on our team has something to share, have giftings and talents and graces, and we just want to share that with you. But before we go, Dominique, I want you to share again your company information. How can they get in touch with you? You know, I know you gave some nuggets, but say Jimmy's still acting up. I need to have a separate consultation with you. Jimmy being I'm gonna just say Jimmy being the child. I was gonna say Jimmy being the husband too, but we're gonna leave it. But how can they get in contact with you? I want to make sure you give them that information.
That's a great question. You can find us online at our website at www.beyondaba.com. I can also type it in the chat. And then Beyond ABA, we're on Facebook. Beyond ABA, we're on Instagram. And then if you really want to see these ideas worked out, I also have a YouTube channel. It's called Dom, the BCBA Mom. So I'm giving real life examples with my boys and the things that we do and how we get them through the day with learning, even before and after the pandemic. So, you know, if you want a consultation, you want to be serious, or if you just want to see it come to life in a visual, you can check me out on YouTube. I'll type that in the link below as well.
Okay, I want to share one last comment somebody just made. This just blessed me. She said, "You ladies are such a blessing. This is better than any television show. I have laughed till I cried to being reminded of how sweet homeschooling was with my children. Thank you so much." That's what we want to be. We want to be a blessing to the women, okay? So next Friday, make sure you hop on because we're going to be talking about makeup and catfish. So listen, we are signing off. Somebody, I know Sinead said last week, she was like, give us 3 closes, Pastor London. I already gave you 1, then I went to Dominique, so this is 2. So we're going to be signing off. This is 3. Virtually next week for makeup and catfish. I love you, ladies.
Love you. I hear you. I always the last one.